I am not going to touch the bells, even though I'm very... Here we are, the first Sunday of 2024 is coming up, and I had the crazy idea of filming this one in a location we've never filmed the Word Made Fresh in before, and maybe a location you haven't really ever seen. The thought was like a new perspective, but it turns out it's a little windy today.
Yes.
And rather than having our senior minister get blown off the top of the bell tower, we came inside the Carrilon. Here, let's show everybody. Have you ever played the Carrilon?
Never.
Okay, do not do it.
I think I did one note.
You did?
I think so. You're not allowed to?
I mean, you're my boss, so. All right, so here we are.
I was with the music director.
Okay.
Director of music.
Yeah, okay. Well, I am not going to touch the bells, even though I'm very...
Did you get that? I think it's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
It must be...
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Well, hey, maybe this is actually fitting, because the bells ring on a regular rhythm, and as we start a new year, sometimes there's rhythms and rituals people do to start the new year. So we'll get to the text in a minute, but this, and it's Luke chapter 1, the second half of, no, Mark, I take that back, Mark chapter 1, the second half, Jesus does some magic, it's cool. It's also Epiphany Sunday?
Yes.
And so that's a ritual we're going to have to kind of mark the beginning of the year. Talk about Epiphany and Star Wars.
Yes, so we started this tradition here at Riverside last year that we did at my last church, but I think churches around the country do this. On the first Sunday of the year, closest to Epiphany, we share a star word with our members. So it's just a single word on a card. The ushers pass them out as people come in. Our online community can go to a website and it generates a word for them. And we just suggest to people that this is your guiding star for the year. I think I had mine in my phone this last year. My word was feel. Do you remember yours from last year?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So I guess that was not so casual for what we're going to do. But it's wonderful having people come back in June or in the fall and say, man, that star word has really helped me to do this thing or inspired me to take on something that I have been wanting to do for a long time, and this just felt like a message from above. So we'll be doing that on Sunday.
Yeah. So this gets us into the rhythms and rituals of our world and our life. But this particular text in Mark has Jesus really, in many ways, beginning his own public ministry and work. So we get Jesus first cleansing an unclean spirit. Then he goes to his friend Simon's house, and Simon's mother-in-law has a fever, so Jesus fixes her, and then she can serve them dinner. That's interesting right there. Then a bunch of other people come and say, Jesus, heal us, and he does. And then in the morning, everyone's like, Jesus, there's more people, but where'd you go? And he got up early and went to a quiet spot to pray, and no one could find him. When they do find him, he's like, let's go to the next town. And that's how Mark begins the story of Jesus.
Yeah. So you know me, I'm going to probably center on Jesus going off to a quiet place by himself. So when we talk about rhythms and rituals, I think as people of faith, I think as folks who follow Jesus, this is one of the models that he gives us in the gospel is pulling away, certainly pouring out himself to folks, healing, cleansing, doing what he does, laying on hands, but he also makes a rhythm and a ritual of pulling aside to talk with God, to be alone, to rejuvenate and reimagine and refresh himself.
I mean, it's the whole, how much can you pour from an empty cup?
Exactly.
And unless you have some moment and space to fill yourself back up, you've got literally nothing to pour out other than like bitterness and grudge.
Yeah. I was going to say you have nothing to pour out, but that like anger or snapping at your kids, kicking your dog, and we don't want that. Especially I think in this beginning part of the new year, we all I think like to take a bit of a reset. I'm not a resolutions person myself, but I do think we like to recommit, to return to, make a U-turn, if you will, on those things that perhaps we've let go as the year has gotten away from us. This is a chance for us to reset.
I just think it's powerful because our society seems to just tell every person your worth comes from what you produce, all the things you do, hustle, grind. How many side gigs are you juggling? I have more than you, whatever. And then even in the world of pastor life, so all you pastors out there, we can often hear this narrative that we're supposed to be super Christians and do everything. But then in this story, Jesus literally walks away from people who need his help. And he's like, I need a moment. I have to keep doing it. So you can't do everything.
You cannot do everything.
We try to do everything.
You can't do it all the time either.
No.
Right?
Or if you do everything, you're going to do everything very poorly.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a wonderful text. And I think it is definitely the place where we want to center. There's so much to do in the world. Riverside is a church that's extraordinarily committed to love and justice in the world. We could be doing things all the time. But worshiping God, being in community together, Sabbathing together. This Sunday also will be our Sunday of practice Sabbath to restore and renew and pull away from the world so that we're filled up and ready to go back out and give and pour out into the world.
I mean, you've even introduced that to us in the past year and change with the moment that happens right after the sermon. Rather than just rushing to the next thing, the next prayer, the next whatever, it's like there's literally a moment of silence where there's nothing. We just filled the space with lots of really good words, but now let's give a beat to just be present in whatever way.
Right, yeah. To just be present, to just allow things to sink in. And we actually have to give a shout out to Clarence Anderson, the chair of our church council. He's the one who said to me, Reverend Norm, can we please have a moment after the sermon so that we can think about what you just said, so that we can integrate it and metabolize that into our spirits. And I think it's been one of the best things that we have done. I grew up Catholic, and it is it is the norm after the sermon when the priest sits for there to be a very long moment of silence. And you and I both worked in a church where it never stopped, right? It was always going.
Cue the lights. What's the next thing?
Yeah, we were always on. They called us Church de Soleil, right? Church de Soleil. And I had gotten so used to that, and I think we get used to it in the pattern of our workspace as well as the pattern of our worship space. So that when I went home, I went to Mass, Catholic Mass with my mom, and the priest finished the homily and sat down. It was silent, and I was literally twitching. I was looking around because I thought, oh no, someone's missed their cue. Someone is supposed to be doing something. And then I was like, oh, right. In Mass, there's silence after the homily.
I mean, the way we interact with those moments of silence, I think, says a lot about ourselves. In this story, the disciples are a little panicked. Where's Jesus? Where's he at? I can't handle this moment. Something needs to get done. And it's that twitchiness. And it's like, maybe that's why I need the silence to both recognize those twitches and maybe even learn to calm them and still them.
Right. Calm them, still them, and really enjoy and lean into the gift of space and not doing, but just being.
Well, that's this coming Sunday. So we hope to see you Sunday. Join us in person, online. You know the drill, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Get yourself to Upper West Side, West Harlem, or just go to our website. It's all there. And then this is what you're going to get. You're going to get maybe a slightly extended moment of silence.
Maybe
We'll see. We'll see how it lands. Yeah, and some Star words. Also, I just realized, I don't know if people technically noticed. You're tall.
I'm pretty tall.
Because we're usually sitting down for these things.
We are usually sitting down. I'm 5'10" and a half, but this guy is 6'7", so even on my
requirement is that I will only work in the tallest church in the country.
There you go.
So I'm grateful that we're here.
Yeah, you're here. The tallest one in the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. See you on Sunday.